FBA fees climbing, I'm losing my grip. Storage costs rising, they'll never let me skip. Refunds I'm eating, returns pile up too. Oh, Amazon, what else will you do? I look at my dashboard, my profits erased. My margins are gone, it's a slap in the face. Prime Day's a promise, but it's such a race. How much will I make if I'm replaced? It's a cruel, cruel number. Fees keep climbing, profits torn asunder. Oh, it's cruel. The sellers wonder how to survive when the margins go under. It's a cruel, cruel number. Every month it's something new to plunder. Oh, it's cruel. It's no wonder we're stuck in this game. The algorithm's thunder.
Yo, Amazon's back, and they got a new scheme. Reimbursement slashed, it's every seller's dream. They're digging deep, taking more from the pot. Let's break it all down, expose what they got. March 25, it's a policy drop. They say manufacturing costs, but we know it's a flop. Give us your cogs, they're demanding the price. But if you don't, they'll estimate nice. Nice for them, not for you. Watch a payout shrink. That comprehensive evil is a corporate wing. Lost in the warehouse, damaged on the floor. Now they pay you pennies, not a cent more. Fees on the rise, profits on the run. They don't lift a finger, but they pocket the fun. We're fair! They shout while they cut our shares. Amazon math, man, it's full of errors. Fees, taking our dough. They're stacking the deck, and it's sellers who owe. Reimbursement? Nah, they're taking us down, but we're still here, we don't mess around. Fees, straight to the top. Amazon's game, it'll never stop. Margins tight, but we keep the grind. Sellers unite, we're one of a kind.
I try to sell my product on Amazon, thought it'd be a breeze. But little did I know I'd be stuck with seller support disease. They never seem to solve my problems, just give me the runaround. I'm tired of waiting on hold. My patience is wearing thin, I'll never be found. Amazon seller support, you suck, you suck, you suck. Can't get no satisfaction. I'm out of luck, out of luck, out of luck. You don't care about my business, just trying to make a buck. Amazon seller support, you suck, you suck, you suck.
This one's for the sellers on the grind, getting left on red, wasting all their time. I hit up support, got an auto reply. Thanks for your patience, man, I wanna cry. Inventory lost, my margins are toast. Reps playing tag like the Casper the Ghost. They pass me around, it's a never-ending game. Nobody takes action, everybody shifts blame. My ASIN's down, I'm out of the race. They say they'll escalate, yo, what a disgrace. Amazon seller support, you're breaking my heart. No answers, no fixes, just tearing me apart. Hours in the queue, stuck in the dark. Amazon seller support, you're missing the mark.
Amazon game plan, that is the key. Seller central dashboard, that's where I be. Analyze the funnel, see what we lack, then we optimize. Sellers know it's a fact. I get it popping, you know that it's lit. Climbing the rankings, ain't no room to quit. I check the data, they notice the stats. I keep the method, that's how you adapt. Metrics are showing, you know it's our cap. Amazon sellers, it's time to react. I'm about that action, I do this with passion. I got them like, whoa, what is this? Huh, whoa.
I don't know, dude. I think everybody's just buying stuff based on reviews and badges or whatever. They don't even know who we are. These customers don't even know the name of my brand. But they keep clicking add to cart like it's part of the plan. They see that Amazon badge and think it's all grand. But yo, they don't even know the name of my brand.
Click, scroll, build your store. Amazon's waiting, what you waiting for? Brand it loud, make it shine. Steven's here to drop the rhyme. Tiles, banners, plug and play. Your storefront's live, let's sell a day. Now listen up, I'm Steven Pope, Amazon guru, I'll help you cope. Step 1, get that trademark stamped. Without brand registry, your Amazon cramped. Head to Seller Central, log in quick. Manage stores tab, yeah, that's the trick. Upload your logo, flex that style. You're about to make Jeff Bezos smile. Where pick a template, marquee or grid. Drop your tiles like a branding whiz. Hero image, big and bold. This store's gonna glitter like digital gold. Flex, grow, build your store. Amazon's waiting, what you waiting for? Brand it loud, make it shine. Steven's here to drop the rhyme. Blue tiles, banners, plug and play. Your storefront's live, let's sell today. Yo. In the trenches of the Amazon game, trying to survive while it's driving me insane. Nobody warns you, they just claim it's passive income. Nah, it's pain. I'm sitting at a birthday, laughing, chilling, next to a newbie Amazon seller spilling. She's like, Prime so smooth, it's a killer. Then tried to sell, now she's stuck in a thriller. Finding products, yeah, that's the first grind. Scrolling Alibaba, losing my mind. Sample suck, manufacturers decline. I'm like, dang, how's anyone doing this fine? Ship it in, pay for the bubble wrap, but they ship glass bottles in padded crap. Now I got hot sauce leaks, refund stacked, customers pissed. Man, I'm under attack. Amazon's a beast, it's a fight, no peace. From SEO to PPC, the hustle don't cease. Think it's passive? Nah, you better increase your tolerance for chaos or face defeat. Trademark wars, brand registry's a scam. They banned my brand, now I'm in a jam. Listings yanked, products ranked and tanked. Lost dogs in the catalog, my account shanked. Now let's talk ads, it's a rabbit hole. 1,000 hours deep, man, it's taking my soul. Weekly negations, bulk sheets for control. Excel's my new weapon, but it's taking its toll. SEO's no joke, keywords in the game. Alt text, A+ content, playing insane. Lifestyle shots, avatars for fame, but the CTR's low, all products look the same. Amazon's a beast, it's a fight, no peace. From SEO to PPC, from SEO to PPC, the hustle don't cease. Think it's passive? Nah, you better increase your tolerance for chaos or face defeat.
Let's go to Mac School. To Mac School. Class is now in session with Professor Pope. They got the SOP, cause Professor Pope wrote the recipe. Helping Amazon sellers grow sales exponentially. Amazon's a jungle, but we map the strategy. Brand strategist playbook, it's a guide to victory. Troubleshooting catalogs, you know we got the answer key. Boosting all your rankings, turning sales into a legacy. SOB so deep, you think we studied at Mac School. Every step we follow leads to growth, yeah, it's a golden rule. Stuck on keywords, we'll find the ones that work the best. Using Helium-10, strike distance keywords pass the test. Incremental indexing ensures the listing set to rise. From the back end to the bullets, optimization hits the skies. Brand store creation, yeah, we make it shine and flow. A+ content design makes conversions overflow. Need your images on point, best practices in the plan. Alt text and photo rules ensure your visuals command. SEO meets PPC, it's balanced, every step aligned. We'll construct the MKLs that drive rankings over time. Budget caps and bid adjustments, no more wasted spending. Segmentation builds campaigns that sellers can defend. Got a hijacker, no problem, we'll file to take them down. Review requests in action, 5-star ratings come around. Flat file updates, market share reports, it's all in reach. Professor Pope wrote the SOP so sellers learn and teach.
Meanwhile, my Amazon guys on the case, fixing up my problems at lightning pace. Ticket escalations, Mag's the boss. Even Amazon says we'll take the loss. Seller support don't know what's up. Passing the buck when the issue gets tough. They're the official team, but they can't comply. So they say, reach out to my Amazon guy. They're supposed to be the pros, but they can't decode policies and tools from their own damn road. I'm paying fees, yet they bring me stress. But Mag turns my chaos into pure success. Seller support reps, they throwing shade, but then admit, yo, Mag will get you paid. Third-party agency taking the throne while Amazon fumbles in their own damn zone. Seller support don't know what's up. Passing the buck when the issue gets tough. They're the official team, but they can't comply. So they say, reach out to my Amazon guy. So here's the truth, let's keep it real. Mag's the team with the pro-level skill. Amazon sellers, you know the vibe when support says call Mag. They'll give you peace of mind. Amazon seller support, you can suck my image stack. Sucking is all you're good at anyway. Bezos, hit me up if you want to sell seller support. I'm buying. There's a chase. Peace.
All right, we're going to be answering your questions regarding pay-per-click advertising, how to get more sales with paid traffic on Amazon. My name is Kevin Sanderson. I'm the marketing and partnerships guy here at My Amazon Guy. And in addition to that role, I have also been a seller for over 10 years now, which is hard to believe. My very first sale was August of 2015. I started advertising in early 2016. When I launched my private label brand, dabbled in retail arbitrage before that. So enough about me. Let's talk about you and how we can help you. So basically, I'm going to be answering your questions regarding PPC, and PPC can be broader than, just bids and campaigns. We can talk about other things. I already see some questions coming in regarding maybe taking a look at listings and things of that nature. So I'm more than happy to do that. So the thing I always like to point out to folks is, when we do a live stream like this, it's kind of like when you're in high school, if you can remember, high school or college, or go to a conference and the speaker, the teacher, whoever says, does anyone have any questions? What happens? Everyone kind of looks around the room at each other. Now here, unfortunately, not everybody can just look around the room at each other, but there kind of is not as many questions at the beginning, just like there was in high school or college or whatever. And then all of a sudden, people start asking questions. Then it prompts someone else. Oh, there's this question I thought of, or then there's this. And then people that maybe were a little nervous to ask a question at the beginning have more courage towards the end. So here's the thing. Your questions are going to be helpful no matter what. Someone is going to be like, oh, I'm glad they asked that question. Now, the more specific the question you ask, the better response we can give you. Because sometimes people say, what's the best strategy for paid ads? Well, there's a lot of it depends there. So to avoid the it depends, be as specific as possible and get your questions in early. The earlier you ask your questions, the more likely I'm going to be able to answer your questions. And I want to be able to help you and help as many people as we possibly can. So we already have questions jumping in here. So we'll get to those here in just a second. So we've got Luz is joining us on Facebook. She says, hello, Luz. Glad to have you joining us. We have Abanoob is saying, hey, Kevin, how was your week? So far, so good. It's only Tuesday, so we're just getting this party started. I hope it was great. I hope yours was great too, and I hope the same for everybody else. I'm excited for another great PPC AMA. So thank you for the vote of confidence there. So I'm just curious, where is everybody joining us from? I haven't asked this question on a live stream in a while. So if you don't mind, in the chat, just put, where are you joining us from? So whether you're on LinkedIn, Facebook, or YouTube, or Twitch, or some other one, I don't even know what it is. I just see a logo in my little corner there on StreamYard. So anyway, I'm curious, where are you joining us from? One thing to note, we will from time to time reward participation. So I'd love to know where, if people are joining us from. And when I say from, doesn't matter where you're joining us. I want to know where physically you are located. So regardless of whether you're joining us from YouTube, LinkedIn, or whatever, let me know, because I can actually see in the comment if you're joining us from YouTube. So my instructions are probably not clear, because I'm getting a lot of people say I'm joining us from YouTube. So what I'm looking more is physically where are you located? Like Abanoob is joining us from Egypt. Manel is joining us from Baghdad. Sohaib is joining us from Pakistan. Sahil is joining us from India. LinkedIn user is joining us from LinkedIn, but where are you physically located? Oh, here we go. Chuaib is joining us from Montreal. So that's nice. We got Canada representing. Anyone here in the house from the United States, the good old US of A. So I'm in Florida. Curious where everyone else is joining us from. Faisal is joining us from India. Eric is joining us from Michigan. The other side of the state from Noah. So is Noah in central Michigan? I believe Grand Rapids. Where in the hand? And I know about the hand. I guess it's more this hand. Well, depends on how it shows up on your screen versus what I see on my screen. But basically, for those who aren't familiar, Michigan kind of looks like a hand where you've got the mitten and then you've got the upper peninsula. I'm curious where on the hand joining us from. Eric missing postal code. You don't have to put your postal code. You don't have to put any address information. Western Michigan. Okay, gotcha. So in the western side of town. So Grand Rapids in the west. So Eric, you must be you're in Grand Rapids, or Noah's in Grand Rapids? I forget. Never mind. I don't want to get too deep in the rabbit hole of Michigan geography. I want to get an internship with Mag. How can I? You can always go to myamazonguy.com/jobs and apply. And people will sometimes ask me like, hey, can I get a job there? You have to apply. That's all I can say. My Amazon Guy. One thing I will say, anyone who's interested in joining My Amazon Guy, in some ways, it's almost kind of like the Marines. They say the few, the proud, the Marines, which I was not a Marine. I had some friends that were Marines, and I know people that were in the Marines. They have a very specific ethos. Well, My Amazon Guy has a very specific culture. Culture ethos is a term Steven sometimes use. Very specific culture index, let's say profile, like personality type. It's not exact, but like kind of a range he's looking for. So you might be very talented at your job and might do a great job, and it just might not be a fit for Meg, and that's okay. So sometimes people will say, but like, I want to work there. You got to apply, and you may or may not be the right fit, and that's okay. You might be more of a fit somewhere else, and you could really excel there. So I had this one person who kept going back and forth. Yeah, but like for whatever situation, will you hire me? Not if you don't apply. And if you're going to take 2 weeks to decide whether or not to apply, chances are you probably won't get the position. So if you're interested, go apply. All right. Then what? What do we have here? So everyone who gave their physical location, you know what? Since I probably wasn't 100% clear, I'll even give the people that said YouTube or LinkedIn. Just email podcast@myamazonguy and let us know that you were you had given your location based on what Kevin had asked you to, and someone on our team will give you a coupon code for a free Mag School course valued at $100. Now, some people come to these frequently and get the Mag School courses almost every week, so some people might be running out of ones they can even get with that $100 Mag School course. But you can just email podcast @myamazonguy.com. We'll hook you up. So, all right. So now let's, enough of me rambling. Let's get into some questions. So Abanoob says, my question is, how many campaigns should a product of 100 pieces monthly sales have? I know it's a tricky question. It depends on several factors, but an average, what do you think it is? So, all right. So if you're doing 100 units a month, you're doing about 3.3, let's just call it 3-4 sales a day. So if you have a 10%, let's just say a 10% conversion rate, that means you're getting about 30 clicks a day. Let's call it 35 clicks a day. And if you are spending $1 per click, let's just say hypothetically speaking, for ease of math, that's $35. So you don't have a huge amount of data. Now, the one thing I would just caution you on is as your catalog grows, you'll have lots of campaigns. So I would say at least have a auto campaign, maybe 1 or 2 broad match campaigns, maybe a phrase campaign, maybe an exact campaign, and maybe 1 or 2 single keyword campaigns. And someone else asked about single keyword campaigns, so I'm going to get a little bit ahead on that one and say, which I'll go into more depth on that later on. But just be careful of don't create a prison that is so hard to administer, because at the end of the day, you're going to have to be the one to administer this, and it becomes progressively harder the bigger your catalog. I can tell you that from experience. So there's the more campaigns you have with the fewer keywords, the more control you have, the more campaigns you have, the more work it is. So it's kind of a risk reward trade-off. And if you were doing 100 units a day and you're doing, maybe on some keywords, spending a couple $100, you'd really want to isolate those. But the sales that you're doing, they're good. You should be proud of that. But I wouldn't get too deep in the weeds of having too many campaigns. I wouldn't get too creative on it. my personal take. All right, next up, Sahil says, for my product, the CTR is currently very low, around 0.1%. Could you suggest how I can improve it? And then, yeah, let's go ahead and take a look at that one. So let me pull up Amazon. Can I copy and paste that out of there? No, it won't let me copy and paste it. So I have to manually type it. All right, so let's just type in amazon.com/DP/BOFK3XGHN6. Hopefully, oh no, BOFK3XGHN6. I'm getting a dog page. Oh, let me share my screen. So if you would like me to take, let's just do this. If anyone wants me to take a look at their ASIN, I'm more than happy to do it, but give me the link, because maybe this is on .co.uk or .canada or Mexico or whatever. So right now, I'm not sure which marketplace you're listing this on, and it's not coming up when I'm looking for it on .com. So if you could just put the link in the chat, and I will get to it. But right now, unfortunately, I can't see it. So please help me. I'm in huge struggle. Well, I'll do my best. So just get me a link and I will take a look at it. All right. Then we've got Sam says 1 out of 3. I'm launching my first product on Amazon, aiming for at least 2,000 units a month by month 2. That's aggressive. I like it. And eventually 40,000 a month. I'm planning an aggressive launch and not worried about the cost. Okay. That's good. I'm curious if you have, like, if you're selling somewhere else, like this is doing well, like on your own website, or you're selling in stores or something like that. Approximately how many keywords should I target? Are we talking about 10 to 20, 100 to 200, or even more? Okay. And then this is the part about, you usually talk about 3 to 5 keywords per campaign. 1 keyword per campaign, each with its own strategy, instead of mixing multiple keywords together. So I would be very curious in your case with the aggressive goals that you have, which I think are great. So you're basically talking about 2,000 units a month. So roughly 60, 70 units a day. And then getting to over 40,000. And those are units, not dollars. So if you're new to this, I'm assuming you have track record somewhere else. And I don't know if it's somewhere like in an online marketplace, or just even on your own website, or maybe you have some Google Ads data with, search terms. I would definitely use those. But regarding like how many keywords you have, one of the things to keep in mind with Amazon is there's only as many impressions as there are people searching. So, well, that's not totally true. There's basically however many impressions show up on someone's screen times the number of searches, or basically there's only so many people searching, and there's only so many inventory of impressions on the screen that you could possibly get as your total available market size. So probably the more, the better. If you have aspirations of getting to 40,000 units a month, I'm assuming you have multiple products. And one of the things to keep in mind is there's relevancy. So you might have an almost endless budget, whether you have, other business ventures, or you just, taking out loans, or whatever the case is. You can't force searches. So you're up against that issue. I would not get into like DSP and any sort of demand generation strategies until you master sponsored products first. Because ultimately sponsored products is the most relevant traffic. People searching for, I want garlic press, and searching for, well, they don't say I want garlic press. They just search for garlic press, or silver handle garlic press, or dry erase marker, or something. And then they go buy that product. So what's going to end up happening is if you have, I don't know how many SKUs you're talking about selling here, but let's just assume this is a relatively high volume product. You probably have competition with 10,000 plus reviews. You probably won't get top of search initially for that like very broad keyword. So the shorter the tail, meaning the less number of words in that phrase, will oftentimes have higher volume, but also be more competitive. And so Amazon doesn't just give to whoever's going to give them the most money, whoever's going to bid the most. It's which ones are the most relevant and most likely to result in the sale. Because unlike, let's say, Google, where, you know, the ultimate goal is just to get the click, on Amazon cares more than, I guess you could also argue Google wants to get whatever result you're after. But on Amazon, it's all about the sale. And they are sharing in the sale in the sense that, like, you know, they're getting the 15% commission. So they're really looking at it. And plus, you know, all the other variety of factors. They don't care who gets the sale. They just care of, there's only so many impressions, which products are going to be most likely to result in a sale. So you're going to have to go after high volume keywords. You're going to have to go after more medium volume keywords, and you're going to have to go after longer tail, very relevant keywords. I would do exact, I would do phrase, I would do broad, I would do ASIN targeting, I would do, auto. You're going to have to do all the above. And so I love the fact that you're aggressive and you're saying you're not too worried about the cost. You probably also want to, you know, maybe make price a factor, like lowering your price as much as 50%, which may hurt, like literally emotional damage, by getting it down to that level, but at least initially to get some sales going in. And then, you know, basically about every 50 units, which if you get to the target of what you're going for, 50 units would be like, you know, a day or two sales. Now, unfortunately, in my experience, you don't just throw a product up and get those kind of sales right away. You're going to have to work towards that, especially if you're hoping to get to 70 units in 2 months. But hopefully my guidance there was worthwhile, or was helpful, I should say. And then question 2, why do we usually talk about 3 to 5 keywords per campaign? It has to do with budget. So the more keywords you have in a campaign, which I want to say it's like 1,000, you theoretically could add in a campaign. Now, if these are high volume keywords, the algorithm is just going to kind of pick and choose where to put the budget. And it may not be where you want it to. So the tighter you are, in, let's say, 3 to 5, no more than 20 is my Amazon guy suggestion. The tighter you are with that, the more control you have over the budget. Now, my one asterisk I always like to tell people is don't go too crazy with this, because you could end up, as I was mentioning in a previous answer, building a prison for yourself, meaning you're going to have to be the one to go optimize all these campaigns, learn bulk files. I wouldn't go into a software tool right away. Make sure that you fundamentally understand how to optimize before you start kind of outsourcing a lot of that to the philosophy that a software tool will kind of steer you down. Whereas at least with bulk files, you have a lot more control over it. And bulk files is way easier than, you know, going into a campaign, going into the ad group, going into the targets, and then making changes. And, you know, at least with a spreadsheet, you can create columns to help you figure out some of the potential bids. So I would definitely learn bulk files. And then we said each with its own strategy, or mix multiple keywords together. So back to the second part of this question. So I would suggest, if at all possible, have keywords grouped somewhat semantically. Like, these keywords, people are probably looking for something very specific this way. And this, they're looking for soft, fluffy pillows or something like that. And this one, they're searching more for color, or whatever it is, and whatever your product is, it makes sense to that product. I would suggest that, because it'll make it a little easier for you. One of the things I learned is come up with a very good naming convention of your campaigns. So like when you're scrolling through and looking either in Campaign Manager or, you're looking at the bulk files, it's easier to figure out. And so oftentimes people include like the ASIN or the SKU, whether it's, sponsored products, whether it's manual, whether it's auto, if it's, ASIN targeting, broad match, phrase match, exact match, somewhere in between. That's what folks are usually generally looking for is, having that. And then maybe the product name, even a brief product name. It doesn't have to be the full, keyword stuffed that oftentimes we do on Amazon. So that way you can very easily look at your campaigns. So hopefully that was all helpful. I wish you the best of luck. I love the aggressive nature of what you're doing, and I hope you achieve those goals. All right, next up, Faisal says, what are the best running ads on Amazon if we are selling women's jewelry? For example, if we have 10 different listings, I will create only one campaign and all of this 10 ASIN in a single campaign. Okay, let me unpack that. So what are the best running ads? The best way running ads on Amazon, if we're selling women's jewelry, we sell 10 different listings and create one campaign and all of this. Oh no, I would highly recommend grouping it by, which is a caveat I did not mention in my previous answer. I would put in there the one product per campaign, unless, let's say you have like bracelet, even though I'm showing you a watch, but let's say you have a bracelet and you have different sizes, potentially, maybe you include them all together. And then, certain attributes of variations that may be very specific, like maybe color, maybe you create color specific campaigns as well. But generally speaking, if like you have a bracelet, you have jewelry, you have, Halloween themed earrings and Christmas themed earrings, just as an example, all of those are different enough that you would want to have one product per campaign. All right. So looking through here, we got lots of good questions coming in. So this person is asking again to me to take a look at their product. So I'd be more than happy to, unless I misspelled it. This is what I came back with. I couldn't find it. So please get me a link to the listing, and you can just pop it in the chat and I'll take a look at it. Otherwise, I don't think I can find it because it might be in another marketplace, or just maybe I've mistyped it. So if you get the link and the link works, then the link should work for me as well. And I can help you. All right. So going back to Choabe, which hopefully I said that right. Quick question. I have 9 variations, 3 colors, 3 sizes. So these are color size variations of my product. I'm assuming all under one parentage. I'm about to launch the same design, but with a different material. So it'll be 18. Okay. So yeah, it must be all one. And then now you're going to have another parentage with a different material, but also color size under that. So, okay. I think I get it. Should I merge everything under one listing to share reviews or make a new listing to benefit from the honeymoon? So I guess I don't know. It depends on the category. You might be able to get away with style, color, size, or material, color, size, potentially. Every category is a little bit different with how the hierarchy of the catalog works. You could try. You'll probably end up having to move it off to its own thing. Honeymoon period, from my experience, has more to do with the SKU/ASIN. With the SKU/ASIN would be the child variation, not the parent. Or so even if they're all under the same parent, they should all have their own honeymoon. But that also means they might take up impressions that your other product would have gotten. Because like with ads, they're only going to show one variation, and it's going to be probably whatever is the one they think is going to do the best, or the one the algorithm is hungriest for data for. So it might cannibalize your other listing by having them together, but it could be a way to what's the word I'm looking for? It could be a way to kind of incubate the new 9 SKUs that you have with the new material. But I would say maybe try, see if you can get away with it. Worst case scenario, Amazon breaks it off. If they do, it might be kind of tough because they might break them off when they're just all separate. They might put them in their own parentage. But if you're able to do a parentage all together, it might be worth trying. But just know there's pros and cons either way. I don't think it's going to affect the honeymoon period. And I think the honeymoon, which is not an official thing, but we all know it essentially exists. It's going to affect the other 9 SKUs potentially if they're all together. So just something to keep in mind. And also you might have more potential shelf space if you have 2 parents. So like for whatever the keywords, if they share some similar keywords, you might show up, maybe middle of page 1 and bottom of page 1. So that's 2 bites of the apple you're getting, whereas you might have just had the one if they're together. So use that information however you'd like. Personally, I would probably keep them separate. Personally. But I could see the argument both ways. Hi, Steven. Steven is probably, because you're probably on Facebook on the Steven page. What's the most common mistake you see advertisers make when trying to scale without increasing ACoS? Yeah, so that's a good question. So when it comes to scaling, it can sometimes be hard to have both a foot on the gas and a foot on the brake at the same time. Now, I know Formula One drivers do it all day long. Maybe NASCAR drivers do too, have, 1 foot on both. But I would say it's very hard to have, both the gas and the brakes applied. So if you're focusing on profitability and kind of optimizing in that direction, you're not as aggressive and going after new keywords and trying hard to rank and things of that nature. So one of the questions Steven likes to pose to brands is on a scale of 1 to 10, which I might butcher which one's 1, which one's 10. If 1 is, let's say, profit at the expense of sales, or sales on the other end of, let's say, 10, sales at the expense of profit, where do you fall? Now, some people might say, I'm super aggressive. And then they say they're a 10, but then they realize they're probably more 6. They're kind of like a little bit more aggressive than they are just optimizing. But you kind of really have to know what is your goal and how aggressive do you want to be? How much money do you have to spend? Like, I would not use money that you can't eat if you don't, if it doesn't work out. So all things I would say keep in mind. Then, so really what it comes down to is it's very hard to keep the gas down while also having the brake. So if your ultimate goal is you truly are a 10 on that scale, meaning you are all about sales over profitability, you will eat into all your margins just to get more sales and ranking and, priming the algorithm. Then I would say, don't worry too much about profitability yet. You can get there, but if sales at the expense of margins is truly the goal, make sure you are emotionally ready for that. That YouTuber meme, emotional damage. I've mentioned this a couple of times. You will probably take on emotional damage if you are a 10, even if you are a solid 10 on that 1 to 10 scale. Just make sure that you have the gut check for it. It was another way to phrase it. All right. let me see. What questions do we have? All right. User 2 says, let's say we're selling a lubricant. Okay. Lubricants. We just launched ads. I'm curious if it would be better to run them in mainly an evening due to the product category. Okay. I'm curious. Is this a personal lubricant or is this like, for your auto? Which I didn't think you could advertise in adult products. So if you are an adult product and you're able to advertise, I would say, before I'm not a big day partner. You need a lot of data over a long period of time. And I wouldn't just go with, yeah, but I think. Let the data tell you over time. And then you can maybe worry about, your day parting, so to speak, on Amazon. I would not get too caught up in that just yet. Like let the data tell you where it is. Because if you just launched ads, let them run. Maybe you will find, for whatever reason, people wake up in the early in the morning, and they shop for it while they're making breakfast. I don't know. Don't just assume based on the category, buyer behavior. People are weird. I'm weird. We're all weird. We all do things not how we say we would do it. We do things how we vote with our behaviors. So let the customer behaviors, when they click, when they buy, let that dictate and not just make assumptions, because you might end up missing out on sales that you would have gotten otherwise, and might realize like, oh my gosh, 3 PM is like my best time of the day. So I would just let it run. I wouldn't worry about day parting, especially this early on. All right. What do we have next? Which again, if you have questions, I can still probably get to your question if you drop it into the chat. So put into the chat your question. If you have an ASIN you want me to look at, more than happy to do that, but give me the link. Because somebody gave me an ASIN and unfortunately it wasn't coming up when I go on Amazon.com. Because it might be in another marketplace. So just to make sure you're giving me the ASIN, the correct listing, make sure just give me the link. So that way you go to Amazon, you find the link. This is the correct link. It's the correct product. Drop it into the chat and I'll take a look at it for you. All right. Faisal says, suggests the best way running ads for jewelry for women if we have 200 plus listings on Amazon. It's very differently for running ads one by one in different companies to manage. So the best way for running ads for jewelry on Amazon. Sorry, hold on one second. Sorry, false alarm. I thought I was going to sneeze. But anyway, so the best way for running ad for jewelry for women, if we have 200 listings on Amazon, very differently for running ads one by one in different companies to manage. So are these all under one account? So are you managing these for multiple accounts, or is this you're selling these wholesale? Like you're selling Invicta watches and for women, and Tiffany necklaces, which I don't think most people can sell wholesale Tiffany necklaces. I don't even know, does Tiffany even sell Tiffany and Co? Do they even sell on Amazon? But basically running ads one by one. So you could do it a couple different ways. So if you have 200 is not that bad, to be completely honest with you. I probably have 400 or 500 active SKUs right now. I should probably know the number, but I retire stuff all the time. Try new things, retire things. But if you had that many listings, I would say the bulk of the campaigns that you run should, like if you're going to have multiple, 10 plus campaigns for a single SKU. And, you have, let's say, you probably have of the 200, probably 20 to 30 where the majority of the revenue is coming from, if I was to guess. Those ones, you have a wide range of best practiced campaigns, but what you're probably getting at with this question is you don't want to overdo it where you have to administer all this. You have to optimize all these campaigns. So maybe you just have for like some of the ones that, sell not quite as much as the others. Like I'm imagining you probably have some products that sell 5 units a month. And that might even be aggressive for some of them. Those you can get away with an auto and a manual campaign. You don't need to have and you could probably for those have 70 keywords. I know this is probably blasphemy, but when you have very little data and you're not so much concerned about hitting your budget, because some of those, I've imagined some of these, if you have 200 plus SKUs, you probably have some SKUs that sell very little. And, you might spend $18 in a month on ads. You're not in a situation where you're worried about all the budget's going to the wrong keyword. I want the budget to go to this keyword instead. It's probably, onesie twosies on most of your keywords. So I wouldn't worry too much about that. Now, what I do is when I take my bulk file, I will filter for just keywords. Then I will do some sorting. I will sort by ACOS, highest to lowest, regardless of the campaign. I just look at where am I losing money? I will look at ones where I will filter for 0 sales and then sort that by spend. And then I will also take a look at ones that are getting sales, sort that by spend, and look for ones that I'm both winning and losing on. The ones that I'm winning on, do I want to maybe bump up the budget just a little bit? The ones that I'm losing on, do I want to ratchet down a little bit more? It's not terrible, but maybe you have some keywords where you have, a 75% ACOS. It's not worth turning off. It's not a huge loss to you, but it's worth taking a look at. And then, and then maybe lowering it just a little bit because, maybe you'd like to get that down to 50% or 40% for that particular keyword. And then another thing, and this is something everybody can do, and I highly recommend doing this maybe about once a month between now and the end of the year. Go into the targeting tab, and that's going to show you every keyword in every campaign. And if you have, let's say, 200 listings, you probably have several hundred campaigns, and you probably have thousands, tens of thousands, maybe even of keywords that you're targeting, and potentially even targeting the some ASINs. So sort by highest ACOS, and then you'll find some that you probably, it never showed up, but you made one sale this year off of a particular keyword. And every time you looked at it, and what I forgot to mention is make sure to change the date range to year to date, because most of the reports you look at, they give you 60 days, sometimes 90 days of data. And it can be hard because, sometimes you've got 3 clicks on a keyword and you're like, what do I do with this? Because you got 3 clicks in the last week, but you might find you've had 60 clicks on that keyword and no sales, or 60 clicks and 1 sale, and you've got a 374% ACOS. Turn that puppy off. And then maybe the ones that are, high ACOS, you lower the bid. But it's high ACOS, but not that terrible. It's 60 to 80%. Maybe those you don't necessarily turn off. You just lower the bid. So if you're bidding $1, you go down to 55 cents. Maybe you had 25 clicks in one keyword. It's well, if I can squeeze out a sale every now and then on that keyword, even if I don't show up all that often, so be it. But at least save yourself some money there. And then also filter for keywords that have 0 orders. So orders equal 0, and then sort by spend and just start turning off all your bleeders, ones that, 40, 50 clicks and no sales. And you'll start to realize like, wow, there's a bunch of them hiding, because over the course of now 9.5 months, we're in the 10th month of the year, you have a lot of, if you've been advertising all year long, you have a lot of keywords that you can just get rid of and you'll be okay with. So, all right. Next up, we have Tony says beauty category, tanning product, auto campaign for 3 weeks, paying recommended PPC price, but very low impressions. What could be wrong? Well, one, you may have to increase the bid. You may want to take a look at your listing. Is it optimized well enough that the algorithm knows what the product is? Because the auto campaigns is basically, one nice thing about auto campaigns is it's Amazon's way of saying, this is what we think your product is, because the algorithm is deciding on its own what keywords to show for, which is all based on the content of your listing. So we like to say pictures are for people, text are for robots. So the words are for robots. So what words do you have in there? So a couple things I would suggest is, how long is your title? Is it, 150 to 200-ish characters? If you can get away with not having your brand name at the front, sometimes they'll force your hand and just do it for you anyway. But can you leave the brand off the front of your product name? Have the most important keywords towards the front of the title? Do you have back-end search terms? Do you have, can you make your bullet points potentially longer? And you can use AI to help you, like include these keywords. If you have A+ content, does your A+ content have crawlable text in it? Are you also, even though the product description is covered up by A+ content, do you have a product description? Because that's another way the algorithm is reading your product. And then on your A+ content, do you have alt text? So is there alt text for the images? So each image, other than the comparison chart, but for the most part, each image can have alt text, and you want to have about 100 characters. You can have up to 100 characters. You want to almost maximize that. Add in phrases and whatnot into your alt text, and that's going to help you. And so that might help the algorithm better figure out your product. Then you may have to just increase the bids. And Amazon's recommended bid, usually the recommendations are in Amazon's favor. Sometimes they're more than what you need to spend in order to show up, but that's not always the case. Sometimes the recommendation is just made up, let's just say, and it's not aggressive enough. So maybe you have to go up a little bit. I wouldn't go too aggressive, but let's say if you're spending 87 cents, let's say that was their recommendation, increase it to 97 cents or an even dollar and just see what happens there. So maybe increase that a little bit, and that might help you with impressions. So I would look at both your listing and look at your bid, potentially increasing that. And then I would also work on your main image, because if people aren't clicking on it, they're just not going to show you. Now, you need the impressions for people to click. But if the people that do get the opportunity aren't clicking, the algorithm may very quickly think, we're just not going to show this product. So hopefully that helped. All right. Let's see. Scrolling on down. All right. This is the third time I've got this question. So like I said, if you're still watching this, all you have to do is give me the link. Give me the link, and I will do my best to go through your product. More than happy to, but give me the link, because unfortunately the ASIN, when I pulled it up on Amazon, I couldn't find it. Could be user error on my part, but make it easy for me and give me the link to your product listing on Amazon, and I can take a look at it. Just drop it in the chat. All right. Tony says, thank you, Kevin. Yeah, my pleasure. All right. So where are we now? Eric says, in high SKU count business, when structuring PPC campaigns, do you recommend using multiple ad groups Or is it better to have each campaign with one ad group for ease of use? I recommend one ad group for ease of use. I don't see that much value in separate ad groups. I know with other ad networks like Facebook, for example, oftentimes the ad set, their version of an ad group, which I think what they still call it, is where you do like your targeting and all that other stuff, like who you're showing the ad to, and it's very important. But in this case, with Amazon, I've always been a fan of one ad group per campaign. There's some very small exceptions, which I can't even think of any at the top of my head. I've tried both. I've tried like, okay, similar products, let's put them in their own ad groups. It becomes harder because if the rest of your portfolio of ads is all one campaign, one ad group, it makes it easier to figure out than like, oh, which ad group? Why did I have separate ad groups? I don't really see a use case in general, and even with a high SKU count business, unless you're talking about like 10,000. So if you have 10,000 and you have like, I don't know, for some reason, maybe it's easier because you're selling nails and, the length of the nail or the quantity of the nail or something. So something makes sense to have different ad groups because you don't want to have too many campaigns. But there's really not a great use case for multiple ad groups. Someone could tell me I'm wrong and prove me wrong. But I can't think of one. Zainab says, if we're offering a free add-on product with our main item, is it allowed to mention that in the main image? It depends. So the reason I'm even hesitating with that one is like, is this just an accessory that it comes with? Like, for example, are you selling a phone case and it comes with earbuds? I don't know. I just picking something off of my, or are you selling a mouse and it comes with a mouse pad? Then yeah. I have sometimes seen people do where it's like there's like some other random product that like they want people to like go to another website and opt in for. Do not do that. But if you're bundling things together, then yeah. So my most popular product line was actually the result of another product, and I just added that other sample of that product line in with that other product because no one else in the market was offering that together. And I was like, well, why don't I also do the standalone or the add-on as a standalone product? And it took off. So maybe you find out that add-on product, I wouldn't call it an add-on, I would call it a bundle. But if it's included as like a bundle, a package deal, or like if you're selling like a microphone and it comes with headphones, or just looking around, like if you're selling a calculator, it comes with a slide rule, which the old style like engineers and the NASA engineers in the 60s would use. If things that go together, sure, have a picture of it in the main image. If it's anything that's a little shadier from that, I would be careful. But include a picture of the main image. Differentiate your product if you can, if it makes sense. Yes. All right. Tushar says, how to get a first client as a freelancer consultant for PPC and account management. So great question. So one of the best things to do is on my shelf, got $100 million leads from Alex Hormozi. So in it, he talks about, and this is something that Steven, basically how he made MAG into a multiple 8-figure agency. I'm not going to search for the graphic. You've probably seen it. It's a 4x4 graphic of warm traffic, cold traffic, people people you don't know, one-to-one, one-to-many. Start reaching one-to-one to people you know. Now, if you might be saying, but I don't know anybody, then maybe do some cold reach out and maybe potentially do content. And you might have to also offer to do some free as a case study. Because at the end of the day, why would somebody want to invest in someone who hasn't gotten their first client yet? So if you can, it's much easier if you're able to say, hey, I did this for this person, as opposed to, I want to do this for you. And so if you eventually get someone to say, yes, your first client may have to be free. I know a lot of people, when, getting their first client to work with, maybe they start on Upwork or Fiverr. Maybe try those would be my suggestion. And, maybe create content on LinkedIn or something like that. Another thing I will warn about LinkedIn is make sure that the content you're putting out there is good. And if you're not sure, work on your case studies and then talk about your case studies. Clients don't like necessarily, in a lot of cases, especially in this business, that you talk about their specific product unless they give you permission. So just keep that in mind. You don't want to burn bridges, but hopefully that helps. All right. I could probably get to one more question. And that is quick question. Broad and broad modifier often seem to target similar keywords. How do you separate them to avoid overlap and wasted spend? Personally, I just use broad. I know some people are big fans of broad modifier. Do one or the other. So maybe you want to just do broad modifier and, you add the plus signs it's just the hard part is adding all those plus signs, which you can, create formulas in a spreadsheet to add it for you. I guess maybe I'm lazy, but I've never really personally taken on with it. And I don't know that, I could be wrong on this one, but I don't know Mag does a lot with modifiers, broad modifier. I know we do use them with clients, but I don't know that it's like the main thing we use. All right. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and say thank you, everybody. This is a good discussion. I know I didn't get to everyone's questions. So join us next week and happy selling. Take care.